someone disappoints you, even like in our group, someone may not do exactly what you thought they were going to do, or vice versa. As people, when we're helping people, if they don't respond the way we want, we can become disappointed and we can give up because we think they're never going to do what they said they're going to do. And so that's not a real positive thing for you or the other person. And so, or regarding someone or something, and then with yourself. So the emotion that's produced by that can really over time kind of zap you of your emotional and your spiritual strength. And so that's why I think it's important to talk about disappointment and the way that we're going to move forward. I'm kind of one of those people, when I was thinking about different verses that I always think about, I always go back to Joshua, a lot of the ones we already know, but, always about being brave. Because I think, it's funny, Donna, that's one of your things, be brave, but there's something about telling yourself to be brave. It's not, am I going to be brave? It's just be brave and be courageous. So, because I believe that's God has put that within each one of us. He's told us to be brave and be courageous. And so the verse I was going to read just to encourage your heart was Joshua 1:9. And it was just, have I not commanded you to be strong, vigorous, and very courageous? Be not afraid, neither be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And I mean, I've read that verse a million times, but when I read it again, there's something within me that just kind of rises. And I think it's because, that's what this group is. We're trying to help each other rise, but it's not just business. It's within yourself to learn how to step out and be more brave and be courageous and believe you're going to be victorious no matter what that looks like. Because honestly, these kind of businesses are exactly what cause a lot of growth that you would never experience had you not stepped into this. I mean, that is what you're going to see. And I measure my success all the times by how quick I recover from being disappointed or the outcome not being exactly what I thought it was going to be. That's my measure for myself is, that took me 3 days. That's not very good. That took me a couple hours. Woo! That's what I'm looking for. That took me 30 minutes. Yes. That took me 5 minutes. Yes. So that's what I want to encourage y'all is to not live in that mode. It's a real emotion. And you know what? It's okay. We have real emotions. We can feel sad and all those things. We just can't stay there. And so I hope we encourage one another. Accept we can receive that, hey, you feel sad right now or whatever, but we don't have to stay there. And so first of all, and I have some steps because I've thought about this and I've done this in my own life so many times that I try to be practical in anything that I'm sharing. It's not just, this is not a pie in the sky, like, whoo, let's tap into that. This is real. This is what happens every day in our lives in so many ways. And we have to learn, I call it managing emotions. If you're going to be successful in anything, you have to learn how to manage your emotions in a good way. And so it's a great start. If none of you have ever thought about that, it's a good time because you're going to be faced with some emotions as you do this kind of business because you deal with people. And when you deal with people on an ongoing basis, this is, you have to learn how to manage your emotions or you'll be just, you'll feel crazy. So first of all, just before I kind of give you some ways that I think might help, how do you regard disappointment in your life, or what do you find yourself doing? I mean, is that a struggle for anyone? Is it just me, or is anybody willing to just say, yeah, I feel disappointment at times?
When I first started, I was on the roller coaster. And so this is really good. And it's like, how long do I want to stay there? And I don't stay there as long as I used to. So that's progress.
It is. That is huge progress, Donna. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That is something you can kind of hold on to, that you're maturing, you're progressing, because that's going to make you feel braver and stronger. Even though God just says we can be that way today, there's certainly things that take away from that daily. And that's what I'm saying. This added up over time. If you don't kind of recognize what it is, that's what will give you just that sense of, oh, I just can't seem to get over this. That's great.
I have one. I had a disappointment at the end of last year that was really, really strong. It was strong enough for me to want to just no longer do this business. And I had to really it took me about a week to honestly really ponder and consider, am I willing to let these actions and my disappointment cause me to throw in the towel to something that I know is going to bear not just eternal fruit with other lives, but it's going to grow me in a way, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and financially, that I've never had before. And I honestly, I had to stop. I had to really pause. And I had to consider it, because I knew it was going to require a new decision on my part. It wasn't just going to be, okay, well, I'm disappointed. That's too bad, and keep going. It was, whoa, I am so disappointed that I could
Quit.
say, that's it, I'm done. Turn it all in, just move on, move off. And so it did take me about a week or so.
Mhm.
And then from there, it took me several weeks, even though I continue moving forward, to truly consider my ways, so
Mhm.
that my ship would turn back and my ship not be placed over here away from everybody. I had to make sure I was going to stay engaged and stay in community, even though at that time it did not feel like a safe place for me. And so I just want you to know, this is so good, because you can early on in a new career,
Mhm.
no matter whether it's corporate, it doesn't matter what it is, your new career, your new Sunday school class, your new church, your new friendships, your new social group, your new industry, you can very easily go, and because we're all going to get disappointed, your new doctor, your new everything, you can go, you know what, I'm out.
Yes.
But
I
then
agree.
the next time we're going to have another time to say we're out, until we create a whole progress of we're outs, instead of nope, I'm in, nope, I'm in, nope, I'm in, until when something happens, we go, oh, well, it's a bump on the rock. And my husband says, he says, shake it off like a duck and keep on going.
That's so good.
So
Yeah, and some of them, like, that was a big, huge disappointment. So again, that's not going to be a 30-minute. I mean, but I think too, when I was listening, when you were saying that, I was thinking, at the end of the day, too, you kind of have to decide, why am I doing this, or why am I in there? Like, there's a decision that has to be made. Like, hang on, despite what happened, I know I'm supposed to do this. And I may not feel it totally, but I just feel called to do this. I know there's people that need me. They're looking for me. They're looking for this product. They're looking for they're looking for this. And I got to stay in for them. It's not about, and again, despite how I may feel or be disappointed in somebody, but that I'm going to stick in because of that. And I think, one time someone went through with me why I was doing what I was doing. And they kept saying, well, why do you feel it? Why do you want to get healthy? Well, why is that so important to you? Well, why is that so? And the kid, and I was kind of like, stop. I mean, it's called the 7 whys. It's really annoying when someone gets into it with you, but you know what, by the end of it, you're usually crying, because it's something deeper than just, oh, I wanted to have a little extra money, or and we got to that. I feel really committed to helping health, because my dad died young, even though he was healthy, but I don't want someone else to have to go without.
that is exactly, I haven't gone through the 7 lies, except that I've taken myself through the 1,000 lies over the last 20 years. And
Yeah, but it could be the 7 lies.
that is I know that my compelling depth.
Yes.
One is because our mom died when I was 18, and then our dad died. I don't remember how old it was, but I was in my 30s of something horrible.
Yes.
But then also, for me, I had to go, the depth of where I went was, yes, it is about other people. But for me,
Mhm.
I gave myself permission to do it for me for the first time in my entire life. I'm doing something that I know is going to impact humanity, because that's just who I am anyway. And that's how I roll. But I gave myself permission to not live in a lack of entitlement, not live in a lack, but to move forward, to give myself permission to face things I've never faced before, that are disappointing,
Mhm.
that are that will transform me, because I've avoided them in the past
Right.
because of fear. And so this time I knew that was part. It's like, I know that this is a new industry, so it's going to touch buttons. It's going to hit triggers. It's going to hit things inside of me that had never been touched, because it's an entire new environment, a new language. It's a new everything. And I honestly felt like I was like a teenager. That it's like almost like I got my first job.
Yeah.
When I got my first job when I was a kid, not my very, very, very first job, but when I was 15, I managed a restaurant in Astro World. And I was just really good at that kind of thing. And 15, 16, I'm managing a restaurant, which was a big deal with lots of employees and et cetera. But I made we had a day when things just went really south, and all the big rigs were coming in that owned Astro World. And I had this whole area cleaned and bussed, because we were lacking employees. So I had to do everything. And I thought I did such a good job, but they came in the other door. And when I went around the corner, this entire area of the restaurant, because we were the biggest restaurant in Astro that I was in charge of at 15 years old. Come on, that's huge. And I went around the corner, and this entire area was filled with trash. Astro, thousands of people, right? Filled with trash on the floor, on the tables. The trash cans were over things. And so here I was filled with this, oh, I did a good job, to go around the corner and see the disappointment and the disgust in authority.
Ugh.
I'd not done a good job, even though I went from, oh, yay, wow, this is awesome, to I'm ruined. And so it was like, for me, it was like facing that moment again.
Right.
Because it was a new job. Anyway, It was huge. I'm with you. Keep going. This is a wonderful, this is so wonderful. Yeah.
I'm with you. I could cry about lots of stories.
Yeah.
Being right.
Isn't that where the truth is? Our life lives in our stories, and our growth is in our stories. And how, like you said, how do you manage disappointment? How do you overcome a lifelong battle of feeling like you're nothing?
Yes.
How do you overcome a lifelong battle of feeling like you could never be loved, or you could never be successful, or you have no right to make money, or you don't need money, you're good, you can sleep on a mattress in India and have ants up your nose, and who cares?
I love that you said about the permission. I think it does always start with the permission. You give yourself permission to take care of yourself, that you're worth, your health is worth an investment, you're worth it. And particularly women, we're so good at taking care of everybody else but ourselves. And that's just a huge lesson for anyone that's on here, to really listen to what you said about that, and just that, we have permission to take care of our bodies and our minds and our spirits. And however we just feel like, this is one way that we're finding that really helps people.
It does.
And it really does. And again, it's that permission to be able to do that. So how do we now, I'm going to switch a little bit. I mean, you have to work on your mindset yourself, as far as you have to identify what you do. And I sometimes would use, I sometimes would negative self-talk, and that is, but I would just turn that conversation around. It's just kind of like, I'm sorry, that said I could be strong and courageous, and God's with me. And so, what, even though I'm a little discouraged right now or whatever, I'm not going to go down that pathway. And just go through that. Or you have a good friend, or you pray and you turn on, some of the ways that you really just have to cut this thing. You got to cut the thoughts, you got to stop. And so generally, to do that for your mindset, you're going to have to focus on something else. Just real simple. You're going to have to stop, and you're going to have to go outside and walk around. You need to go plant something. If you love gardening, you need to listen to some music that you love. You need to go paint. You need to go write. You need to go call somebody. You need to go run. You need to go ride your bike. You need to go fix, if you love cooking, go fix something yummy. You need to call somebody. You need to stop what you're doing and physically remove your body sometimes and go do something else to just get away from that. And once you can kind of get your mindset, change, then we're talking about now, what are you going to do now? And particularly in your business, I just want to share a few little tips with you because I've seen this for myself. The number one thing to stop disappointment is you get in action. I said something to Donna, I said, get in action, baby, because actually, get on it, get doing something. And people train all the time on the things that you do. And so if you can't figure that out, go to the trainings. I'm going to give you a few suggestions. If you don't have a calendar or something that kind of starts your day to look at it, like, what am I doing? Just sometimes that centers me, just to look at my list that I've tried to make and stop for a minute and think about that. And, work on your lists, to get into action in our business. You're going to make lists of people and then just say to yourself, hey, even if it's a few people a day, it's kind of the three, I know they share about this, but, or you time block somewhere that you're going to do that. And you're going to start making your list. You're going to speak with maybe someone that is mentoring you and tell them what your goals are and say, hey, hold me accountable to that. And again, start small, get big. I mean, however you work, sometimes cutting it, making it smaller pieces helps people. Other people love to just go all out, the big. We should all be that way. But yourself, or you're learning yourself. These are things we learn as businesswomen, as entrepreneurs. You have to learn this. You really have to know yourself as an entrepreneur. You have to start understanding about yourself. And it doesn't matter if you have a weakness in something. Who cares? Work on it. Get someone else that's good in that. Let them help you. But just learn, grow. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be perfect in everything. So what do we do in this business? We make calls, we send texts, we build our lists, we make our notebooks, we get on trainings, we get organized. If you're like, I don't even know who to put on a list. Somebody gave me this idea one time and I've used it. Go through your Facebook list, your friends, and start with A. And just take a few people at a time. Just start with A or start at Z. And you go, these three people, you go onto you look at what, you try to engage because, there's nothing more salesy than just, it's obvious that you're just, you need to be interested in people and what's going on in their life. That's how you start conversations. And, invariably, if you continue to ask all the questions, eventually they'll be saying, well, what are you up to? What are you doing? And then you're going to tell them and they'll be like, they'll either be interested or not, or, but that's just one thing. Possibly if you haven't tried that before, is just get your Facebook list of friends and start reaching out to them. And, just see what happens. I mean, be edifying to someone else, be interested in them. And again, we're not trying to get something, we're not trying to get something. So if you have that kind of convo where it sounds like you're trying to get something, that will be turning people off. But I mean, Donna shared this many times, is that people are looking for what we have. And the line that Marcy always uses about, oh my gosh, I've had this, something has just worked for me amazing. And that you talked about, you don't sleep. I know I struggle with sleep too. So anyway, those are some of the conversations to try to get into, but maybe a new way to build a list is your Facebook friends. I mean,
Hey, can I inject something that came to me while you were talking? Interesting, because I have like 3,500 friends. Clearly, I don't know them all.
right.
And so I was thinking as you were talking, one thing we can do is when we go to A, is, you know what? It says here we've been friends for 10 years. But I look in our messengers and I see we've not even ever had a conversation. Can you tell me, have we ever actually met in person and start a conversation like that? An organic interest.
So good, Donna.
Why are we together? And, and it could be, I hired a lady to help me get word out on my books once. And so for a year, they were adding people.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably 1,000 people on there that are coaches all over the world that I literally have never had a conversation with. I didn't even know they were being added. And so I recognize, there might be a gold mine in there of, because, I don't remember who it is that said this, but you can't say the wrong thing to the right person.
Or whatever. If you care, you can't say the wrong thing. If it's done with an attitude of caring, which if you don't care, you're in the wrong business. If you don't care about people, you really don't, you really are in the wrong business, and you probably won't do, because that's just red flag.
Yeah.
So, we got to get our hearts straight with that.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think too, that I'm going to share a little bit of this with Donna, is that sometimes if you're not getting the outcome that you want, you need to have more of a sense of urgency about what you're doing. An urgency of, I talked about getting on the run, like we're going to get on the runway. That plane's going to, at the end of the runway, if that pilot doesn't lift it up, I mean, they're going to crash, so
So how
if
do you
all
do
of you,
that? How do you
yeah,
do that? Do you make
how do you-
goals? What do you do?
I think you do, but I can make goals all day long. It's more of how am I reaching my goals? It's that step by step, like I'm making a list, but I'm not just making a list. I'm committing that I'm going to reach out to someone and start a conversation, 5 a day or whatever number you want to come up with. That's the thing. Your goal is your goal, but make it where you're going to set yourself up for success. Because I think we crash sometimes because we said, and again, you may do that. And yay, if you do, but that's the only reason why I say start smaller sometimes, and then start to go, hey, this isn't that hard. I'm in the groove of every day. I look at and I've got some new names, and I'm going to work on those. I'm going to follow up. So how do I lift myself up? Is I'm in a community, for one, that I'm encouraged. I'm in a training to build competency. The worst thing is we all start and we're not confident, because I didn't even know what GHQ peptide, what is that? Like, I can't barely even say it. Like, I sound like a dork. I mean, no way is anyone gonna have any confidence in me. I could say, that whole thing, trying to explain that, like, it's taken me months, right, to really feel kind of natural. Like, I'm just being natural talking about it. Maybe I don't still even sound that natural, but whatever. I'm saying, but don't, so my exhortation to you is do trainings, but don't just stay on trains. If all you do, if you're one of those people that just wants to read the book and listen to the trainings, and all you do is train, but you never get your little butt in action, that is what I'm talking about. The urgency is get your little seat in the plane to get ready. And, you've got to do the things that lift your business off. Okay. And that's calling people.
And I know people right now doing that, because we've been talking. And if you listen to this, who are doing what she's saying, I would just want to tell you how you get the plane going is you make your list of your 10. You write down their addresses and phone numbers. Why? So that you're engaged in understanding, where are they? And do I have their phone number? And can I reach into them? That way, you already have your information. And if you know what's happening with them physically, write that down next to the name as well. Because this is you being engaged in, you're reaching into someone's life to help them with something that could possibly either save their life or extend their life. This is a big deal, y'all. You are important, you are significant, and what you have in your hand is important and significant. And you can have confidence in the science if you don't have confidence in you.
Yes, that right there. Exactly. But don't not do it because you're not, again, engage other people, send them all the stuff. But, but you doing the work, you will become more competent, and which will give you more confidence. But again, it just is like a domino effect. But, but we have a system in place that helps you gain confidence because we let other people help us share the stuff because they know how to say it better. And there's just no question that is the truth. So don't let your ego, again, remember, ego is our enemy. Yeah, I can do that. Ego's enemy.
Ego of having to do it myself, the ego of having to know it all, the ego of having to learn everything before I take action steps, the ego. And we might think, well, that's just me trying to be confident. Really? Or is it you being afraid you're going to look stupid, which is still ego?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little twisted, but I'm telling you, if you just get moving, if you just are confident enough in the science, even if you don't understand the science, I don't understand the science. I really don't. And I've decided I don't have to, for me personally, but
You sound like you understand the science.
I do sound like it because I'm confident.
That's
I'm
right.
confident in the science that I don't understand. Just like I'm confident that my blood is flowing through my body. I'm confident that my autonomic system is working because I'm sitting here and I'm living and I'm breathing. And I feel the same way about the science I don't understand. I don't understand this computer that I live in. I don't understand this computer that works so amazingly, created by, not by me. I don't understand it, but I'm confident that I'm alive and I'm living and moving and breathing. So I just transfer that same attitude. I have confidence that when I use this phone, somebody's going to be on the other side. I have confidence that this Zoom is working. You know, so it's the same mindset is what I'm saying. It's the same thing. I have confidence the science works. So if I don't understand that, I just tell them, listen, let me get somebody else on the phone that has a better clarity on what you just asked me. And I still do that today, y'all. People still ask me things. I have no clue. I'm like, you know what? That's a great question. I am not a doctor. There's a man in Nebraska who he started shooting off questions immediately. One of Linda Ramos's friends who owns a feed store, and he is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I would love to get him in a conversation with David Schmidt because they're that mindset. They're very sciencey. He understands amino acids and all these enzymes. I'm like a deer in headlights, even though I'm on the phone thinking, I'm so glad you can't see me. And I told him, I said, sir, I can tell clearly you're an intelligent man who knows your stuff. And so from this point forward, I dub you as Mr. Science because I have absolutely no idea, but I'll give you the information. And that's what I did. I just got him the videos. I sent them to him. I said, when you have time, please watch these because I don't have the same education you have. I did not set myself up in that conversation for me to look stupid. I'm just honest. I don't have the education you have. I don't have the responsibility you have in a feed store of keeping a whole city, getting a city what they need with regards to feed, with regards to medicine for animals, all these things. He's very, he knows his stuff to take care of that city. So to me, I don't feel dumb. I don't feel like it's ego or a lack of ego. It's just me going, look, I honestly don't understand that at all, but I'm going to get you what you need so that you can have a clarity, so you can have confidence in the same product I have confidence in. But you just have to go deeper than I do to have the confidence you have. That's all. So y'all be encouraged. Keep going, honey. It's all part of it.
I'm trying to think what else I had. I think that's we're on the runway. We're going to lift off. We're giving some good examples of that and what we do. What about y'all? Do y'all have any? What do you have trouble making lists? Do you have trouble starting a convo? Like, does anybody want to share anything they've learned or they want to ask a question about? Does anybody? It's okay if nobody wants to ask questions. We're good with
Dawn,
that.
I want you to share what you've been learning, honey. You've been on a strong trek. Or Jan or Sandy, don't care, but I know Dawn's been learning. I've been watching her confidence raise. I'd love to know how and why that's happening.
I don't know how to explain it. When I had the thought of calling somebody, this fear just gripped me. And finally, I'm like, no, I'm done. This is stupid. And so I've just changed my mindset. I guess I was trying to be perfect with what I said, but I'm not perfect. And I don't have to know everything in it to know that there's support out there. And so I just changed my mindset and I said, I'm not going to let this control me because it was controlling me. And I'm like, I'm done. This is just stupid. And so I've been reading the book, The Slight Edge, and that's been helping me.
So
Just,
good.
It talks about procrastination, and procrastination is your biggest enemy. And I was a great procrastinator, but I'm like, no, I'm done. I gotta move on. And setting goals, I found that if I set a goal for myself, instead of just think about it, I set a goal. And when I set a goal, then I actually tell myself, I have to do this because I set this goal today.
It's great. So you actually set it, do you write it down? Like, do you have a certain notebook you write it down in, or where do you put that goal?
I'm working on that. I have notebooks everywhere, but there's
Yeah,
like
I know.
that note. And so I'm like, oh, I put that in this book and that
Yeah.
book. So that's going to be one of my
That'll
goals.
be, we used to do this thing called a war room. It's what we called it. Just I thought that was funny, but And we had a big, and I don't know what space you have, but I was telling my husband the other day, I go, I got to go back to that, a whiteboard, a big whiteboard, because for me, I'm very visual. So if I look up there and see that name that I said, every time I look up there, I'm like, oh yeah, that person, I can't escape it. So, and it may just be a notebook, or it may be, everybody has different systems. I'm just telling you, that was something for me that really helped. And I'm going to go buy another one because I don't know where mine, I must
Are
have
you
given
going
it
to
to
do that?
somebody.
If so, maybe we could maybe have a working Zoom next Monday, or hold on, next Monday's Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Maybe
That,
maybe in a couple of weeks, if you'd like, we
yeah.
could
I'm
do
just,
a Monday morning organization like I do.
yeah.
I finally put these together, and this is every training from today. I call this training what we do. So I have my training in here. I have my motivationals, my motivations by Donna trainings in here. I also have when I visit with Charity, I write it down. When I visit with Marcy, I write it down. When I do a power hour with them, I take my notes and I put it
Yes.
all in one place so that I don't have 10 notebooks. Like
Is
Donna.
it? Yeah. No,
understand.
mine are behind me, and I have the training, and I have the list of people, the people I'm considering, the people I need to follow up with, the people I've gifted. I think Marcy had divided it out. I put like a little yellow, or is it? This is very. It's back here. I mean, I put like this. This is messy, but like so I could see my follow up, my list, my people I'm thinking anyway. I think you suggested a monthly subscription, like your monthly your people that order auto ships, like maybe even put them on, or that's in our back office, so we don't really need to do that probably, but
Well, no, not that time, but we'll take it in snapshots. But I think what I meant by working was when you talked about, for what I was hearing was, let's organize my environment where I'm working to have it be applicable for my daily life and keeping up with my goals and following up and following through. That's what I was hearing when you were speaking. That I'm thinking, because my sister Sandy just bought a whiteboard and she hung it already.
oh good. I'm just saying that helped me. I was just trying to think back, how did I keep following through with all my people as well as I did? Again, they're even in a notebook, but the visual big whiteboard, and plus then you check off it. It's kind of a fun thing too, because the
I'd
people
love to
that
see
you're,
how you do it.
yeah.
I'd love to
Okay.
see. You can maybe just put initials the first time if you want. If you don't want
Yeah.
other people to see your
Yeah.
name.
Yeah. True.
But
True.
love to see that.
Okay.
What's one of my goals is to organize. I've moved my office into our side bedroom that Betty sometimes uses and Mom Reiners uses when she comes and a guest uses when they come. But I moved my office in there because Craig is in the
Yeah.
other office and he's
Yeah.
like, he does have to have a professional environment for the different things he's doing. And so instead of me in there yakking, I moved myself in another room. So we have a picture behind me that I painted, but it's on a table versus my desk now. But that's
Yeah.
okay. But I want to make it so that it's going to help me do my work and not
It,
take a nap because there's a bed in there.
oh yeah. Yeah. I think too, I think you really, if you tend to get if you tend to lose your focus, working on my workspace is real important for me. That's something I've noticed for myself, that it was when COVID happened, I had just gotten this office. Keith had moved out to go upstairs because of a bigger space, so I took, and now I'm totally redoing it. But a week, I mean, I literally had just finished. Everything was just, all so thick. It wasn't that it was fixed. I just knew everything was. I didn't have to wiggle as much to get going. I was like, I know where everything is. I'm going. Then COVID hit. My daughter and my granddaughter moved into our home and everything went to, I mean, she had to come in my office because of her job. I had to go to the kitchen table, which is nothing wrong with the kitchen table. But what I'm saying is,
You had to
it
share
got me all, yeah, I had to share even more. I was already, and so finally I'm back to having my own. And so it's kind of a mess still. So I'm still working on it, but it's a work in progress, but it might just be helpful and I'm just telling you what helps me. I mean, the fact that I would train on that would be hilarious, or I won't train on that because that would be, I don't know that I can. I'm just going to say the things that help me to stay focused on making the calls. It's really about being in action. What do you need
That's
to get
good.
yourself ready to do something within 5 minutes? Not like already have it because some of us you're doing this in the nooks and crannies. A lot of people on here, they can't even be on this because they're at work, they're doing this. And so we got to figure out how to work smart, work fast, and learn how to get your own space in a way that will not let you be distracted. So that's really all I got, Donna.
Oh, that's excellent.
So it's
Let
fun
me
to
see what
share.
the chat side. The chat says, "Oh, Sandy said I call Donna. She's my encourager."
Exactly.
I would have said that
Well,
with somebody else. Sorry, but it was me. I apologize. Jen, do you have any thoughts or ideas?
and I love Jen's ideas.
I know
She's our smart girl.
yes, she is. She's brilliant.
Yeah.
I have some.
Appreciate that.
Go ahead, Jen.
I appreciate that. Mostly I'm just chewing on everything. It's really good stuff.
Good. Well, good. Yeah, it's
Sandy's got something. She's in. Hey, Sandy.
Hey, we match. How about that?
We do.
I couldn't figure out how to turn my picture on or anything earlier, so I didn't get to say this, but um, um, I'm trying not to beat myself up so much, because I'll have my day planned. I have all my names written down. I have my 331. I'm all ready to go, and something happens. I care for my other sister, and sometimes she has problems. Something happens, and my whole day gets just side whammy, and then when I try to get back to it, there are some days that I don't get back to it. And then in the evening, I'm sitting around, I'm thinking about myself, and I'm saying, you didn't get it. You didn't do anything. You didn't do not one single solitary thing that you had planned to do today. You didn't do it. And so I'm trying more and more not to beat myself up and just tear myself down about it, because if I did, quite honestly, I would just have told Donna, look, I can't do this. I'm just not going to do this, because it's too defeating. It's too, it attacks my self-esteem too much. So I just have to meet myself where I am. And at least I make my list. Sometimes all I can get done is list the people, but, every day I try to do something, something, even if it's just, okay, my LifeWave desk is a mess. I need to get this straightened up. So at least I'm organized in the morning when I start over again, and just kind of go from there. I mean, even yesterday when I was laying in bed, not feeling well, I still at least did a list, so I'm at least trying to get the list done.
yes.
And
I think you're doing.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, picture this. Picture someone who who is working full time, and their nooks and crannies is going to the bathroom when they're at their corporate office, while and stealing 10 minutes away to do a few texts, because they have in their mind that one day they can transition from that job to something else, or they would be able to go part-time or whatever. You are in a very similar situation in that you have a full-time career with you and in caring for people. And it has been Betty. And before that, it was Chuck. And before that, it was, there was a Rosalie. And before that, there's a list of people that you have taken time to care for. And though that may not be what you want to do for your latter years, I would say this: I have noticed the smartness of God. Our experiences lend themselves to a pathway of success. And I think maybe one day, you and me and Cyndy and whoever else, we can do a brainstorming time and look at your life and come up with some ways that would be advantageous for you in the context of how you live as a caregiver. Because I'm telling you, there are some doors that are open to you if we capitalize on the nooks and crannies that you could have in the caring for Betty. There are some nooks and crannies there that would open doors for you for income, for social, for all sorts of things. And I don't even know if I'm making sense, because I know I'm verbose, but I can see Like, who is it the other day said, I'm at, for instance, how Dave is going to the coffee shop.
Right.
So he's going to a coffee shop and he's meeting people and he's begun to enroll people that need help in the coffee shop. What if instead of making it just making the calls and doing the Zooms and those things, what if once or twice a week, you and Betty started to investigate spaces, places, people, organizations where there might be an open door.
Yeah. Like the community center.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it may not be immediate, it may not be fast. It might be the kind of thing where you need to be the turtle and just be methodical and keep showing up until somebody has an interest to say, hey, what do y'all do outside of here? And then you have it open. Oh, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
I use this little patch and I help other people get well. And they're like, well, what do you mean by that? I'm like, it could be simple instead of the way we are all our professionalism.
Good. I love that because don't take everything we're saying as if there's only this certain way. We're just trying to give you some steps. We're trying to reach lots of different work styles, all that. But the main thing is people, and however you can get around people, whether it's by phone or taking Betty somewhere where you end up having conversations with other people. You feel good. She feels good getting out. And I think what Donna is saying is, don't be isolated and try not. I mean, again, you have certain things that you have to do to take care of your sister. And you know what? God bless you. And just don't beat yourself up, Cyndy. Just don't. Just say, whatever. I didn't get to it today. I'm gonna get to it tomorrow. And just move. I mean, really, really don't. Because you're doing a great thing. And I think you just need to, you do have a full time. You need to look at this like you're doing it Nooks and Crannies, even if you haven't thought about it that way, because I think it'll let yourself feel better about what you're accomplishing each day. And there may be a day where you just like knock it out of the park, where you really have gotten that list done, all that. Well, good. But don't make this this has got to be fun, or you're not going to want to keep doing it. I mean, there's always hard work, but we got to make it fun too. That's always been my opinion. But I want to have fun and get paid for it and love people. I mean, why not? Who says it has to be hard and drudgy and so
that's
it is hard.
It needs to be hard in order for it to be worth something. Hey, Jen, did you Jen had her hand up, now she took it down, but I was making room for when it was time.
Gotta
Jen,
get off here in a minute. Jen, talk.
Contribute. Yes, ma'am. We asked her to talk earlier and then we're like, can't talk. So talk.
Yeah, well, I realized I could have shared this. I blanked when you called on me. I've been chewing on being our own encourager, like we all know, but it's been really strong again in my life. Like, and recently it's like I've been asked to do things that are not a big deal for most people. And they're really not for me either. But in this season, they've been a really big deal for me. And I've had to say no to some things. And then I've gotten to say yes to some things that I had to push through that other people were like, what's the problem? It's just, I have to meet myself where I am. And this week, I had to do something like that where, it's like those areas that, when you have a major victory. And the story of Peter walking on the water came to mind really strongly.
That was good.
And I was thinking, tone is everything, and how you interpret scriptures or whatever. And so I was not in the camp of thinking Jesus was like, what did you doubt? I didn't think he was being rude to him. Jesus, he doesn't criticize us. But I just saw it in like a whole new way of, I even saw a couple different ways. Like, what if they had some side conversations, that were not recorded, written, where Peter confided that, even though I'm this tough dude who's always jumping ahead of the game and going for it and being brash, really, I'm super insecure inside. And I have all these issues, and I don't know if I can really do this. And he was doubting himself. And what if in that moment when Jesus was talking about like having little faith or being doubting, What if he was actually laughing, and they're standing there on top of the water, like, okay, you like with no faith. And he's like pointing to all the other people in the boat, and they were having a moment. And I was just thinking about that. And it's like, it's so personal, whether or not you believe in biblical things, like that whole concept of you and God being that place of encouragement for yourself, because there will be times when other people recognize what you're doing, or if you bring it to the table and say, look at this thing that I accomplished, which to me was a big deal, they will cheer you on. And other times they don't have time, not that they don't care, or they just don't see it as a big deal or whatever. And so if we're depending on that, and just and on the same coin, the same person who could praise or encourage can also disappoint you, even if they're not criticizing you. Their lack of go you can be disappointing too. So if you don't have that own foundation for yourself, that everything else is just icing and extra, I think that's just really important to remember.
That's so good. Oh my goodness. That's perfect. That's so good. Yeah, we're so dependent. This is not to try to encourage us to find other people that we want to find people that are affirming, encouraging, great. But that's so good, Jen, that we have to be that for ourselves, and we have to let God be the one to encourage, and to look to him for that. That's what I do. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. And while I love the encouragement of other people, it's, I have to see, I'm a really positive person, but I found myself being very negative about some things. And I was like, wow, how easily, just like you're saying, you can appear one way, but on the inside, something else can be going on. Right. And to take kind of ownership of that, and to just be okay with, sometimes it's harder to do the things that other people seem they do very easily, and that's okay. You're growing and you're taking responsibility for yourself. And that's really, I love that example of Peter, kind of like, he's like, just get out of the boat, just walk on the water. And while that would seem like he would be the one wanting to do that, but Jesus really knew, like you're saying, maybe inside he didn't think he could ever do that. But it was because he was focused on Jesus, and we can do a lot of things when we're focused on Jesus we can't do in our own strength. I mean, you have to learn, So anyway, there's so much about that we could talk about. That's such a great analogy. Thank you so much.
It's excellent.
For that. That's excellent.
Because each of us carries our own basket of history, in different seasons, and he was with us in the beginning, and he'll be with us in the end. And so everybody else are huge blessings in our lives, but really he knows the depths.
That's right.
So.
Gotta let him in, and go with that. That's great. Well, I don't have any. That's wonderful. This was great. Thanks for sharing, because we just learned so much from one another. There's, every single one of you are so important in what you think and say, and how you encourage and teach, and whatever we call this. You all have something to be a part of this. Thank you so much.
I decided to call it motivations. I know I had those other names, but I think motivations is good. Not what's your deep motivation, but not your deep motive, but what are our motivations? What are our motivations? And so that's what I decided to call it. And then we'll just have little guest spots. And so I encourage y'all, as soon as the video is done, if y'all could share it with your teams, help them be encouraged. And then currently, it'll be every Monday, 9 a.m. Central Time. That'll when we'll have them. And if you could just put it on your actual calendar so that you already know. And then we go ahead and we do send out the link. You know how Marcy sends out her encouragements to 25 people, and I happen to be on 15 of those. So I get 15 encouraging reminders to show up at Power Hour on Mondays. But I could be irritated by that, or I could go, you know what, that's God's way of making sure I understand I need to be on Power Hour. You know, perspective is everything in everything we address. We can get irritated and annoyed, or we can see it as an opportunity to be compelled to stay in position, you know, and to stay connected in these areas that may not seem important, but they are important. It's not just about going and listening to Marcy or whoever's teaching. It's about being part of a situation, and you may not have the opportunity to speak in those areas. That's okay. We're still a part of something, and listening and learning and leaning in, and then we can share that with others. And so we just want to encourage y'all, you know, we're all leaders. You know, I've always been of the firm belief that my ministry has mostly been with women, but that every woman is a leader. I don't care whether you are if you're a stay-at-home mom, God bless you, you're a strong leader. If you're a president of a company, God bless you, you're a strong leader. If you're a president of a nation, God bless you, you're a strong leader. But one of you is not stronger than the other. We all have a strength, and we all have something we bring to the table in that context of what our calling is. And your calling today may be different than your calling might be in 5 years from now, because you're being prepared as you go along with all these different experiences and all these different tools and all these different ways that we are progressing in this place of personal development. And so, God, Cyndy, you were so right on today. Manage your disappointment. That is, whoa. And I know you probably have more meat. If you want to close with something specific, please do. This is excellent. Thank you so much. Gosh, thank you.
Appointment. I think we've all been focused on mental health too, with, you know, and that's really where I see this is really a call to manage our mental health, our emotional health. That's, you know, that's where I was. I was like, I got to do something different, because this is haven't taken a toll. This is not good. And
It's
so I'm just being honest. I mean, I really believe got to take that seriously, you know, not to end on but I just think people are stressed, and in managing disappointment and stress. I mean, there's, you know, we could call it different things, but I just believe and we just need to be aware of it. Yeah. So that's all.
That's good. No, we learn from managing to overcoming, because the whole intention and purpose is that we grow so that we are no longer the same person a year from now as we are today. But, and that being said, we might have a wiring that predisposes in a specific direction that maybe it's more difficult to overcome, or maybe we're that space occupies 20 years of our life. We're like, what the heck? All I can say is be you in the you that you are, and lean into your strengths. If you have attempted to overcome in an area for a long, not months, but years, and not seeing the change you want to see, then lean into your strengths and capitalize on your strengths, and spend less time in your weaknesses.
Great.
If it's not an area that wiring wise is not going to change, that doesn't make you less than. That makes you a person who is wired for specific things. And in those specificities, you're going to shine, you're going to grow, you're going to overcome, and you're going to be highly successful. So that's for all of us. We all have some wiring issues. Some are bigger than others, but every single one of us has some kind of wiring issue that can stop us or compel us. And so I encourage all of us just to take a deep breath and return to the simplicity of 3-3-1. And maybe that 3-3-1 is not just about contacts. Maybe the 3-3-1 is write down 3 things you need to do today in your private world, and then follow up those 3 things you need to do in your private world, and then follow through on those 3 things you need to do and one of those might be brushing your teeth, washing your hair, and putting on deodorant. I'm telling you, you just need to meet yourself where you are, like she said.
I love that. Yes. I really need to wash my hair. Dry shampoo is okay. Sorry.
That's awesome. I'm
All
going
right.
to sign off from Facebook land just a moment, and then we'll stop the recording. Blessings to all of you. Thank you for joining us.